Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the financial average of giants, and sometimes, well, we'll see what Glacier Bancorp has to say for itself. Make sure you're subscribed if you like getting straight insights from these filings, and join our Discord community linked in the description below for even more unfiltered financial talk. Alright folks, today we're diving into a filing from Glacier Bancorp Inc. dated August 15th, 2025. Now, this isn't a super detailed report like a quarterly or annual one, but it gives us a peek at what management is sharing with investors, and crucially, it's posted on their website. Think of it as a company broadcast. The main event here, as pointed out in the filing, is an investor presentation. Regulation FD, or fair disclosure, means that when a company puts out information to investors, they need to make sure everyone gets it at the same time. So by filing this presentation, Glacier Bancorp is making this information public. And what's inside this presentation? Well, in the world of SEC filings, an exhibit, especially something like a presentation, is where you find the meat and potatoes. This is essentially the company saying, here's what we want you to see. So what did Glacier Bancorp present to its investors? Well, this specific Form 8K filing doesn't contain the actual financial numbers from that presentation. It tells us that the presentation itself is the key document. It's like getting the table of contents and being told the real story is in the book itself. When companies do these presentations, they're usually highlighting their performance, their strategy, and what they believe makes them a good investment. They'll often walk through key financial metrics, talk about market conditions, and maybe even give some forward-looking guidance. We're missing the specific numbers here, which is a bit of a tease, but the fact they're presenting publicly means they're confident enough to share their story. Glacier Bancorp, as we know, operates primarily in banking, and filings like this are how they communicate significant events or information to the public and the SEC. It's their way of keeping the market informed. Their common stock is traded on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker GBCI. This means it's a publicly traded company subject to all the reporting requirements we're looking at. The company is headquartered in Kalispell, Montana. That gives you a little geographical context for the business. The date of this report, August 15, 2025, is important because it tells us when this information was officially disseminated. This just signifies that they're complying with the rules set out by the Securities Exchange Act, which governs how public companies report their activities. The false here likely refers to a checkbox for a specific type of filing or disclosure, indicating that this particular condition doesn't apply to this report. Now, looking at this filing itself as a whole, it's pretty straightforward. It's essentially a notification that an investor presentation was made and is being furnished to the SEC. The real substance, the actual financial details and strategic points would be within the investor presentation itself, which we don't have direct access to in this particular document. However, the act of filing it and the date is what's important for regulatory purposes and for investors who are tracking company communications. What does this tell us? Well, it suggests that Glacier Bancorp was actively engaging with its investors around mid-August. Companies typically do these presentations to update shareholders on performance, discuss market trends, and outline their plans. Without the presentation content, it's hard to give a deep financial dive, but from a corporate governance perspective, this filing shows they are following disclosure rules. A company that regularly holds investor presentations and files them is generally demonstrating transparency, which is a good sign for investors looking for clear communication. Think of it like this. If you're trying to understand a company, you'd want to know what they're telling the people who own a piece of it. This filing confirms they are telling them something at a specific point in time. If Glacier Bancorp is doing well, their presentation would highlight growth, profitability, and solid strategies. If they're facing headwinds, it might include more defensive language or explanations for challenges. The absence of specific numbers in this filing means we can't do a Warren Buffett-style number crunch. We can't compare their revenue to last year or their debt levels. We can only see that they had a presentation. This could be a good thing if they presented very positive results, or it could be a way to disseminate information without putting all the raw numbers in an easily searchable SEC filing format. Though Regulation FD aims to prevent selective disclosure, in the broader market context, financial institutions like Glacier Bancorp are always sensitive to interest rate changes, economic growth, and regulatory environments. An investor presentation would likely touch upon these factors. For example, if interest rates have been rising, a bank might highlight how that's boosting their net interest income, or if there's economic uncertainty, they might emphasize their strong capital reserves and risk management. So while this filing doesn't give us the nitty-gritty financial figures to dissect like we might find in a 10Q or 10K, It signifies an active communication channel with investors. It's a signal that the company is providing an update. The quality and content of that update, the real story, would be in the presentation itself. We'd need to see that presentation to understand their current financial health, growth strategies, and any notable risks or opportunities they're seeing. Overall, Glacier Bancorp is keeping its investors informed. The lack of specific data here means we can't draw conclusions about their financial performance from this filing alone, but it's a step in the process of corporate communication. Now let's consider the implications. If this presentation coincided with strong market performance for Glacier Bancorp stock, it would suggest the information shared was well received. If the stock reacted negatively, it might indicate the presentation revealed challenges or a less optimistic outlook than investors expected. Without seeing the presentation, it's a bit like hearing a company is giving a speech, but not knowing what they said. From my perspective, this filing is more about the process of communication than the content of the message itself. It confirms a public disclosure event. For a deeper understanding, we'd need to access the actual investor presentation. When companies share these, they're often carefully crafted to present their best case forward. So while it's good they're communicating, always remember to look for the underlying data that supports their claims. Alright, that's our brief look at this Glacier Bancorp filing. It's a reminder that sometimes reports tell you what happened in terms of filings, but you have to dig a little deeper for the full story. What are your thoughts on companies using investor presentations to share key updates? Let me know in the comments below if you found this breakdown helpful. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more dives into the world of corporate finance. And don't forget to join our Discord community for more in-depth discussions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next Decode.